Hey everybody, wanted to give you a look at my new plant light system. Been using it for 3 days now. So far so good. I'm fairly happy with it, haven't had any issues, and it seems to be doing what I need it to do for the plants. So these are all good things. You can see down here, those are my old Lights of America 24-inch lights. I've got 4 of them. Bought them on sale for $8 a piece, probably 6 or 8 years ago now. They work well enough, but they're definitely limited in how much I can put under them. You can see 2 bonsai trees and a seed starting tray pretty much take up every bit of space under them. So I'm doing a lot this year with vegetables again for the first time in a few years. And I needed the room. I'm looking to start probably 4 flats worth of plants, lima beans, peppers, tomatoes, things of that nature. So I needed space. But anyway, what I did, I bought 4 of these fluorescent 4-foot light fixtures here. They were on Amazon. The 4-pack I bought was $70 some odd, I believe. I'll put a link to that in the description here. They are T5 bulbs. They're a fairly compact bulb. They get pretty hot. I normally run my smaller lights here about an inch above the plants, an inch above the top of the plants, and they do okay. With the heat that these put off, it doesn't feel like a lot of the heat is projected down towards the plants, which is a good thing. But I still would rather be careful. So I'm running these about 2 inches from the tops of the taller plants right now. Maybe a little bit more until the plants get up to the height I expect them to be at here in a couple days. But anyway, like I say, they're a T5 fairly compact fluorescent tube. The housing is aluminum. It's a nice sturdy housing. I mounted these a little bit differently than I normally do. With these 2-foot or 24-inch lights, they have the diffuser on them, and I have these hangers here that I just wrap around and clip back on themselves. But with the heat that these new bulbs put off, I didn't feel comfortable wrapping directly around the light. I didn't want it directly on the bulb anyway, but even up in the space here between the housing and the bulb didn't feel like a great place to go. So what I did, I went to the local lumberyard, picked up 2 8-foot 1x3 boards here. I cut them in half, sanded them down. They're still pretty rough, but I mean, I can handle them now without too many splinters, I guess. And these lights came with these metal clips that kind of snap onto the aluminum housing. So I screwed those clips. I know they are not straight. That wasn't really my goal. I could have done a lot better with that if I needed to. So I screwed them into the board, clipped the lights in, and you can see I have these hangers down. The 8-foot boards were just a touch longer than 2 of these lights. You'll see what I did with the hangers is I just angled them in. So they start out at the board, they're clipped around themselves like I do with the other lights. And I angled them into a piece of wire further in on the rack here, and then brought it back. What I do is I wrap around one wire, come back under the shelf, and it comes back, it loops up, over, back under, and then under the edge here, and then up to the next shelf where I clip them. And what's nice about these hangers is that, as opposed to what I did in years past with string, these are still light. They're, I think this is called paracord. I've bought it for ham radio stuff in the past, and it's been sold as paracord. It's like an 1/8 inch cord. It's got these ratchets on it. So when you lift up on this tab, you can pull slack through to lower the light. When you pull back, you hear it click. It's a clicking ratchet, so it stays locked. They've got the carabiners on both ends, so the ratchets are clipped directly or hooked directly on the carabiner. And then on the light end, as you saw over here, where I just take the other carabiner that they're tied to when they come, loop them, and clip them back on themselves, and they work just fine that way. If you do go the 1x3 route to mount these, just be careful, the screws do protrude through. I could have ground them down, but I don't really expect to be handling them, and now that they're mounted, I don't have any reason to work up above the lights, so not too worried about them sticking through. They won't poke anybody with the little bit of space between them and the shelf that there is anyway. Alright, so let's turn these on and have a look. You can see that's the brightness on the old ones. These, as you may be able to tell there, I'm not sure with the camera's auto brightness how that's showing on video, but these are significantly brighter. They definitely add a lot of light to the room. I can sit in the room here with absolutely no lights on other than the plant lights now, and there's just absolutely plenty of light here. So I'm very happy with the brightness on these. They, I think, will help the plants. You can see these are lettuce that I put in here a few weeks ago now, and they were in the seed tray. I transplanted them up 4 or 5 days ago now. They were all intertwined in the tray. They were getting leggy. They weren't doing that well. And since I've put them in the cups under the new lights, they're starting to perk up a little bit, I guess. It's still not great, but we'll see what they do. They were more or less an experiment. I usually don't start lettuce inside, but wanted to see. It's only March. I can't plan out for another 2 months, so I wanted to see if I could get an early start and have a crop of lettuce before I need the space for other stuff here. And then down here we've got some geraniums that are definitely doing better, and they've perked up as well under the new lights here. These are the cool white. There was an option for cool white or warm white. Vegetables generally do better with cool white. The plants are able to make better use of the light. Depending on the plant, whether it's flowering or vegetable, you want warm white or cool white. Those are your two options. You can get a little bit more specific, and that depends on whether the plant is flowering or things like that. So I might do another video explaining that better here in the near future. I also went with the lights here that did not have the reflector. I knew that I was going to be mounting these. You can see they're right next to each other. The boards are the only thing adding any width to them, so I didn't want the extra bulk, and I didn't really feel I needed it. They are throwing a little bit of light up, but most of it's focused down. I don't know how much you can see on the wall there. There's a ton of light reflected down off of these. Now, some of you looking around at grow lights might have seen LED grow lights. I've seen a lot of them in my last couple months of looking at lights and comparing options. They seem to be fairly pricey. These were under $100 to get the whole shelf lit. I don't know what LED would have been for the same length. I'd have to look at that. But when I was comparing, I came across a video on YouTube. I'll link it in the description if I can find it, of a gentleman doing a comparison between a couple different LED lights versus the fluorescent lights. And it seemed like, at least from his experiment, that the fluorescent lights did better. than the LED. I sort of feel like LED, with the energy savings and being new technologies, just kind of being pushed and pushed and pushed, and maybe isn't the best option, but because it's the new shiny thing, we're pushing it, and that's why it's gotten so hard to find these fluorescent grow lights. So it took me some looking around to find these, and to finally settle on them. But I'm happy that I went with these, and I don't think I could have gotten the same intensity out of LED that I'm getting out of these, which is obviously more light is going to help the plants out. Anything I can do to increase the light when I'm growing indoors is a bonus. The other thing I'll mention really quickly, there was a 2-foot option for these lights. I thought about it. It would have given me more flexibility in terms of more zones on the shelf where I could adjust the height of the lights for different plant heights. But ultimately, for what I'm doing right now anyway, everything's pretty much going to be at the same height. I can split the shelf in half as it is, 2 lights to a tray width, and I can get 2 trays wide on the shelving here. So between that and the lights I already had, that's enough flexibility for me. And so I went with these 4-footers, and of course with the fluorescent. So overall, pretty happy with it. Definitely needed the room, and I think I got what I was looking for there. I will post links for the lights, as well as these hangers. I've got 16 of those hangers now between everything, and I definitely recommend them and the lights. I do just want to let you know that the links that I share are affiliate links with Amazon, so I do get a little bit of incentive or commission there, I guess you could say, for any purchases you make using my links. It doesn't increase your cost any, and I definitely appreciate you supporting what I'm doing here. Definitely will help me to continue this in the future. The only other thing I want to comment on, some of the reviews on Amazon indicated that these lights were arriving broken, that they wouldn't turn on, that the connection for power here, if I can get a good look at one of those, I guess that's fairly good there, that they were loose, that they fall out, that the lights don't stay on. I guess I could see that if you're knocking into the lights and moving them around. I felt they were a fairly snug fit. I mean, I can wiggle it here, and it's not coming out. Whereas these older lights I have, they're not doing it right now, but they don't fit all that well. If I bump into them when I'm working here, they do come loose, shut off. I have to put the plug back in. These new ones, I haven't run into that at all, and I have knocked into them quite a bit and moved them around. So again, haven't had issues with the plugs. All the lights arrived working. Not sure if they've made changes to what it is that they're doing in their construction. The housings are nice aluminum. They seem good and sturdy. They were well packed in a very solid cardboard tube, all 4 of them, and so I don't see where they would get damaged easily in shipping. So yeah, I'm happy with them. I haven't had any issues. I would definitely recommend them based on what I've seen, and again, the hangers here as well. I was a little bit worried on the hangers with the length of the cord, whether or not I was going to have to put the far end hangers all the way down there and then have to work around the wall to adjust them when I needed to. But they are long enough with, you can see they've all got slack in them still. They were long enough to run up. Like I said, I loop them over, under, run them all underneath so they're not dragging under things on the next shelf up. And then I loop over just one piece of wire and bring them back down. And again, I angled them inward so they're pulling against the against the light a little bit so they don't come loose. But I guess that's it for now. I hope you found the review helpful, and like I said, I will definitely get some more videos out covering types of light for different types of plants and things of that nature. You'll get to follow along with my adventures in gardening here. It's been a few years. Used to do a pretty big garden, and so we'll cover some tech, some tools, different plants, different recommendations. I've got some giant tomatoes that I'm trying. I just started them this weekend. They haven't come up yet here, but we'll follow along with those. I went with the Big Zac and with the Mortgage Lifter, and as soon as we start to see some progress with them, I'll get some videos out on it. Be sure to subscribe, and of course don't forget to click the bell icon so that you get notifications every time I put out new videos. Have a great day, guys.